Hello, everyone. Today, we will explore one of the key parts of this story. Andrew is now running for his life. Who is following him, and will Andrew survive? Grab some tea, and let's find out.
Andrew's descent. Andrew ran through the darkness, his breath ragged, his heart hammering in his chest like a war drum. Behind him, something monstrous was gaining. Its guttural breathing reverberated through the cave, accompanied by the scrape of massive limbs against stone. The unmistakable sound of claws striking rock sent chills down his spine. Then, without warning, the ground beneath him gave way. The world tilted, and he plummeted into darkness. His arms flailed wildly as he tumbled through the void, fingers clawing at nothing but cold air. Jagged walls rushed past, and the distant glimmer of light from above faded rapidly. Pain exploded through his body as he struck a steep, rocky slope. He rolled violently, his body bouncing off sharp edges that tore at his skin. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he slammed onto solid ground with a force that sent agony radiating through his bones. Then, emptiness. Andrew lost consciousness. When he came to his senses, for a moment, he lay still, gasping. His body ached all over, but after flexing his fingers and toes, he realized nothing was broken. Just battered, bruised, and exhausted. A dull throb pulsed through his wrist as he pushed himself up. He winced but ignored the pain. Then he saw it. A camp. Or rather, the remnants of one. The forsaken camp. Dim lanterns flickered in the cavernous gloom, casting distorted shadows on the cave walls. Torn tents and scattered supplies lay strewn across the ground as if abandoned in a hurry. The eerie silence was thick, pressing in on him like a living force. Andrew stepped forward cautiously, his boots crunching over dirt and debris. The stench of rot lingered in the stagnant air. His eyes scanned the area, his muscles tensed for any sign of movement. Then, he spotted the bodies. Some were skeletal, stripped clean by time and whatever else lurked in these tunnels. Others were fresher, faces twisted in agony, their chests torn open by something with claws. Deep pools of dried blood surrounded them. One corpse sat slumped against a rock, fingers locked in a death grip around something. Andrew approached and pried open the stiff fingers, revealing a small, blood-stained notebook. The pages were crinkled, smeared with ink and something darker. He flipped through them, scanning the frantic handwriting. Most of it was unreadable, but some words stood out.
It doesn't stop hunting. Even in sleep, it sees. We have to go deeper. We were wrong. The key isn't for escape, it's a door. A mistake. A terrible, terrible mistake. Jared vanished last night. No sound. Just gone. Only his boots left behind.
Andrew swallowed hard and turned to the final page. The handwriting had become jagged, erratic.
The lights went out. I hear it breathing. It's here.
That was the last entry. He closed the notebook, a chill creeping up his spine. Whatever had happened here, these people had known something they had been desperate to escape. And judging by their remains, they had failed. He needed to move. But before he left, he searched the camp. He found a few supplies, a sealed ration, a canteen half filled with stale water. It wasn't much, but it would do. Then, beneath a collapsed tent, something glinted in the dim light. A weapon. Andrew reached down and pulled it free. It was a katana, its blade slightly nicked but still sharp. The grip was worn, as if it had been well used. He gave it a test swing, it felt solid in his hands. Armed with the katana, he turned to leave. Then he saw it. Carved deep into the stone wall at the back of the camp was a massive, hollow eye. Below it, crude words had been scratched into the rock.
It knows we are here.
Andrew tightened his grip on the katana. He had stayed here too long. Without another glance, he disappeared into the tunnels. And behind him, deep in the cavern, something shifted. Something watched. The tunnels twisted endlessly, their walls covered in strange carvings, spirals, jagged lines, and crude depictions of figures with hollow eyes. The air grew heavy the deeper he went, charged with an unseen presence. Andrew moved cautiously, marking his path to avoid getting lost. Time blurred, hours or mere minutes, he couldn't tell. The weight of exhaustion pressed on him, but he kept going. Then, he found it. The canyon. The canyon stretched out before him, bathed in the harsh light of midday. The sun beat down from above, casting long shadows across the rocky floor. Andrew's boots crunched against the dry earth as he made his way toward the bottom, his eyes squinting against the brightness. The steep, towering walls rose on either side of him, their jagged edges carved by time and the relentless forces of nature. The heat was oppressive, and the air felt thick with dust. His flashlight was no longer needed, but the overwhelming silence made everything feel unnaturally still. His stomach twisted as his eyes fell on the sight that greeted him. Bodies. Some broken, others flattened from the fall. Now he understood why the footprints near the ledge had vanished. These people hadn't disappeared. They had been pushed. Then, the shadows moved. The creature. Andrew barely had time to react before it emerged from the darkness. It was massive, its elongated limbs bending at grotesque angles. Its hollow eyes locked onto him, empty yet somehow aware. Skin stretched tightly over its skeletal frame, pulsating with an eerie, otherworldly glow. This isn't the same thing, Andrew thought. The more he stared at it, the more alien it felt. This thing was something new, something worse. He could feel it in his bones. But still, the primal fear of that first pursuit, of what had hunted him in the caves, lingered. Is it? Could it be the same? The creature let out a guttural hiss, lowering itself into a predatory stance. Andrew tensed, gripping the katana. Then, it lunged. He barely dodged in time. The katana sliced across its arm, thick black ichor spilling from the wound. But the beast barely reacted. It swung at him, claws raking the air where he had just stood. Andrew countered with a downward slash, aiming for its torso. The blade bit deep, but the creature shrieked and lashed out, striking him across the ribs. Pain flared as he was thrown against the rock wall. Ignoring the agony, he rolled aside as the creature lunged again. Too fast. He had no time to dodge. Instead, he stepped forward. With every ounce of strength, he drove the katana upward, piercing beneath its jaw. The creature spasmed, its body convulsing violently. Andrew twisted the blade and yanked it free. The monster staggered, choking on black ichor, before collapsing in a heap. Silence. Andrew stood over the corpse, panting, his hands trembling. His body burned with exhaustion, but he had won. Then, something caught his eye, half buried in the dirt. A worn ID card. He picked it up, turning it over in his hands. The text was faded, but one thing was clear: it wasn't just an ID. It was a key. A key to something. But there was nothing left here. The answers weren't in this canyon. If he wanted to find the truth, if he wanted to find Michael, he had to keep moving. Retracing his steps, Andrew emerged from the tunnels, stepping once more into the jungle. The sun was setting, painting the sky in deep oranges and purples. He pulled out his map, tracing his finger over the markings. One place remained. The hidden part of the island. If this key belonged anywhere, it was there. Andrew tightened his grip on the katana, took a deep breath, and stepped into the unknown. To be continued.